those with political and economic power. Apartheid in its new form exists with regard to the landless. The Nelson Mandela Foundation has, over the last few years, convened dialogues into understanding the underlying questions and possible solutions to the unequal distribution of land in South Africa. Land is inextricably tied to our work in reckoning with our oppressive past, work into race and racism, and of course poverty and inequality. The roots of inequality are deep and stretch back centuries, but new manifestations of elite capture of land and land rights constantly emerge in new forms. New forms of violence emerge atop this violent structure. This year, our focus has been to work with grassroots organizations and activists. Just preceding this screening, we convened roughly 30 activists from across the country on a dialogue on proposed ways forward with regards to the bills emerging in Parliament. Their voices are missing in our mainstream conversations. Their stories will horrify this nation. We have worked with communities in almost all the provinces in South Africa in collaboration with partners such as LARC, Lamosa, ARD, PLAS, and Tinga. And these engagements and types of support garner very little media attention. But it is some of the most valuable work that the Nelson Mandela Foundation does. One of the projects that we did work on was with LARC and Plexus Films, who proposed a screening of the documentary This Land, which we're going to watch today, followed by community dialogues. This took place across the country, and we immediately saw the value in this project. Mickey will speak a little bit about it and give a little bit more context, but what we found was that the conversation was far broader than what we initially thought, which was on Section 25 of the Constitution. What we saw and what was expressed were the new forms of violence being meted out, both in terms of physical threats, but the bigger institutional threats against the rural poor. We stand at a precipice, a space in which we can look toward real dialogue and transformation, and where new forms of social compacts can be formed. At the same time, we are in a space where new threats towards the most vulnerable amongst us are accepted under the guise of being for their benefit, or because we are too afraid to speak out. We need to realize that our choices, like during the transition, are to choose violence or to choose dialogue. But we can also prioritize the dismantling of the violence within our system to continue that unfinished part of our transition. We owe it to our people. We owe it to our democracy. I would like to thank LARC, in particular Nokwanda and Aninka, as well as Mickey, for making tonight possible. They were invaluable in their support and assisting the foundation with what we needed. I'd also like to thank our funders, the Hans Seidel Foundation, in particular Karen, who continually support our work and the conversations we want to foster. And just as a quick run through the format, firstly I will welcome Mickey to speak about the documentary, followed immediately by the screening. Nokwanda will then facilitate a panel discussions with activists Constance Mukhale, Reverend Mavuso, Nozuko Poni, and Emily Chale, followed by a light dinner downstairs. Just one housekeeping rule, there'll be registers going up and down. Just sign one of those, that should be sufficient. And I just want to thank you all once again for being here. So I'll hand over to Mickey.
Good evening, and thank you for coming. I normally speak off the cuff, but I must say tonight I'm very pleased that I wrote something down. In June this year, we embarked on a series of screenings of This Land, which was used as an anchor for facilitated discussions on land reform, structural inequality, and pending legislation that would threaten the rights of rural citizens. By the end of this week, we will be hosting our 38th screening in 4 months, and we've been in all the provinces of the country. We've screened in churches, classrooms, community halls, lounges, sheds, conference rooms, university lecture halls, cinemas, and now finally at the auditorium of the Nelson Mandela Foundation, where without whose support this would not have been possible. So thank you very much for the rapid response in enabling these conversations and enabling this work to continue. I want to say a big thank you to Noni Poni and Samkelo Donisi in the front row over there who facilitated the screenings around the country. Your constant enthusiasm, Noni Poni and Samkelo Donisi in the front row over there who facilitated the screenings around the country. Your constant enthusiasm and resilience in the face of many challenges has been astounding. We've had screenings cancelled as a result of protest action. We've had venues being taken from us at the last minute when municipal councillors discover what the film is about and what the conversations are about. But in each and every situation, they've managed to find a way to have the conversation, to screen the film, even if it's on the floor in somebody's room, in somebody's home. This was also possible because of the incredible partners and activists, active citizens on the ground that were willing to jump in and make a plan. Our first screenings we did in partnership with ARD and Lamosa, and Emily Charlie and Constance Michali just jumped to the opportunity to use this for conversation, and it's been wonderful to partner with you on this. Mam Sazani from the Rural Women's Movement, who's guided many conversations in KwaZulu-Natal and still has many plans. Speaker Machlatse, who promised at least 40 people in Bushbuck Ridge, and then 140 people arrived. Kholisile Dingizweya, who managed to arrange a last-minute venue when we were chased out by the municipal authorities. Elvis Kumani, who managed to make a church service end ever so slightly sooner so that we could start our screening in Amalakhleni. There are many of you, and I want to thank you, around the country, rural citizens who fight lonely and hard battles against the greed. Moving around the country with this land, we've experienced the power of solidarity and the power of the people. As a storyteller and filmmaker, I've often gone through moments of existential crisis where I've questioned my choice of livelihood, and I've wondered why I didn't choose something that's more valuable and more meaningful. Could I not have been a doctor or a lawyer and contributed more, with more impact to society? But having been through this journey, it's affirmed for me the power of story and the continued outflow from witnessing the story of Makasaneni. I feel affirmed in the importance of sharing our stories. We need to keep talking, activating, standing up and speaking out so that we know that we are not alone. Thank you, first of all and most of all, to Lark for recognizing the need and commissioning the film, and for constantly using the film to do the important work that you are doing. I thank in particular Anenka Claessens and Nokwanda Sekhlali for driving this process relentlessly from the start. To the Bertha Foundation for supporting, and for Sunshine Cinema for jumping in and providing us the equipment that made it possible to take the screenings into every corner of the country. Thank you to Reverend Mavuso and the many activists in this room for your bravery and for all that you are teaching us. I hope this process, these conversations today and tonight, will keep moving and activating and bringing about the change and insights required to make this land truly belong to all who live in it. Thank you.
Iyalo impi.
Hawu. Cha siyahlukumezeka konke. Siyahlukumezeka. Hayi, abalungu abafuni ukuba basuke basinike indawo. Sobenze njani soshonaphi mase sisuka lapha. Asilungisela usubani. Akushongo kahlale asicindezele na. Imaphi kanti thina amalungelo ngoba kwathiwa umuntu unamalungelo. Hayi imaphi kawethu.
Hey.
Hayi.
have seen that Amakosi are selling land to business people, mining companies, giving land to foreigners to build malls. We are trying to show not only the chief, even the king, that we are the landowners here. We are going to challenge it. Our land right, sometimes it is not written properly in the law, but we know that traditionally we have a land right. We know that this is my land.
Njengoba sihamba lapha nje ngiyonikombisa ithuna lika baba wami. Wakubaba washo amazwi wathi unethemba lokuthi ngoba yena sezokufa ngizoqhubeka ngizabalazela ukuthi lingambiwe ithuna lakhe. Kusho ukuthi ngamanye amazwi imayini ingangeni lapha bese eyaphazanyiswa lapha alala. Ithuna lakhe ubaba wami leli. Lokho kunginikeza amandla emzabalazweni. Umholi wabantu basemakhaya abacindezele nabantu abangayitholi intuthuko noma abayithola kanzima. Ngakho ke kungumsebenzi wami lo uhambe ngibaqoqozela abantu ukuthi bakwazi ukuthi balwela amalungelo abo. Lapha emakhasaneni ngiba umlando wakho ukhomba ukuthi iningi labantu abakhela basuswe emaplazini amabhunu ngale basebezobekwa lapha ke endaweni ekwakuthathwa ukuthi isimbi kakhulu. Ngesikhathi ke sikahulumeni sengena uhulumeni wentando yeningi basekuthiwa bafaka ama-claim ke base beyakwenza lokho ngo-1998 kodwa ke kuze kube manje abakawutholi umhlaba wabo. Sekuthi ke manje 2011 sekubonakala sekufika abantu bemba abantu bemayini kwase kuba nalokho ke kubantu ngoba kungakhulunyiwe nabo basebebona abantu thawu uma sekumbiwa kanje kwenzakalani wasebetshelwa ke omunye walabo babemba singathi ama-geologist babizwa kanjalo wathi hayi kunomcebo lapha phansi mina nonke nizosuswa.
I'm Stayeni. I'm a researcher at the Land and Accountability Research Center. We work with communities like Mabusos. We look at whether the law and constitution are being properly applied and help communities enforce their rights where we can. So we are here today to talk about the problems they face with the plan to start mining iron in this area. That's what lazy boss. Sunborn. Look.
Yes.
Hambagan.
Yes, okay.
Ay, hambagan. Moshe na kwa njangala.
Moshe kakhulu ke khona.
Yeah, kwa faithful nani.
Abe prospector kwa to say deal. Hey.
A company called Jindal Mining has been prospecting in the area of Makasaneni. They plan to develop an open cast iron ore mine. Nobody told the community before prospecting started. They just woke up one day to find mining activity on their land.
Bakubenza umonakalo le mine le iza nomonakalo kunokuthi ize nokulunga. Futhi iza nokungakhulumi nabantu abakhile endaweni ongabahlonipha abanye abantu. Akekho umunye umuntu ofuneka yazi icabanga sathi yonke indawo yenkosi nalapha kwaZulu yafika khona bamba eduzane kwamathuna khona ngaphandle ukukhuluma nabantu umphakathi wawusuyimisa ke amathuna lawa nje uma ngibheka kanje nibona sabe sesiyiphoqa ukuthi ayakhe lolu donga uze kuvimba ukudilika ngomonakala basibe udaleni ya iyo ke le isite ababe drilla kuyona le ndawo le yonke le ndawo yalomuzi wakwaZulu ukuthi batholani kasazi
20 years since adopting the new constitution, there is still no law to secure tenure rights in communal areas. There is the Interim Protection of Informal Land Rights Act, which is also known as IPIRA, which says no one may be deprived of an informal right without their consent. Most people don't even know it exists. So when mines want to come onto land in rural areas, they go to the traditional leaders, who usually say they have the right to say yes or no.
Indaba ukuthi bayahamba la ngabona nje imoto ifika zayingena zimba kwathiwa imayini la ihamba manje ngakwathatha ngazi ngizokwenza nini angitshala kwiklabishi utamatisi oanyanisi bami lamanzi la ayenzeka la egobhoza ehlala kwavele kwakugangatheka kwanje afika bolisa wonke ubhatata wami lapha ezantsi wabola waphela inkani shuthi ke ngangakwazi uba ngikwazi ukuthi ngisebenze bangazange beze bekhuluma futhi nami kangathekile ngilapha akwenze kulutho amanzi lana iphuma phansi amhlophe ishona la akukho okunye abantu nengane engenabazali eyila ekhaya ezabafana zo10 ezamantombazane zo4
ubani wayifaka ucingo lolo
ucingo lofaka emayini ifakela ukuthi kuphoseka inkomo la nenkomo iphuza lamanzi la aya nembuzi iphuza lamanzi zifa
ethi mina anti yabona lesimo isiyonakele nomphelo ngeke saphinde ibe insimi sekuzindonga manje
hayi ngiphathekile
uyona nto engicabanga ukuthi isasihlalise kabi kulezi insuku ngiyathanda malungu ukuthi sonke nje sikhulume ngokukhululeka ngesimo sibhekene naso la emakhasaneni ngodaba lwemayini noma eyenza ukuthi kube ngathi singabantu abaphikisana nentuthuko
ufika kwemayini lapha emakhasaneni ayifikanga kahle abantu babona la sebeme emagumeni sekumimo lengaziwa kwayilo wabuza kubi ukuthi lezi moto zenzani sibehamba bemba emaxhaphozini sibehamba bemba emathuneni abantu bemba abantu akukho thina basikhombise konke sebekutholile
asixoxiswa asitshelwa asazi lutho
sasuswa endaweni ezinhle zabazali bethu sashushumbisa sazobekwa la engwaduleni nakho ke sesithela lapha engwaduleni sekukuhle sesijwayele sekuyindawo yethu manje futhi sekuqhamuka imayini zizofuna ukuthi kusisusa la zisishushumbise kusho ukuthi sizogcina sesiphila bakithi bazalwane phezu kwesihlahla njengenyoni isindize emoyeni singenayo indawo esingeyethu
umumo wangapha ngemuva kwethu gcwele amaplaza belungu gcwele imoba gcwele amahlathi ogamdrini abantwana bagcina sebevesta sinalo ilungelo lokuklema imihlaba yethu esayiphucwa amabhuku umhlaba okwaZulu
thina ngoba nakwezinye indawo lapho sesihambe khona sivakashele ezinye indawo siyobuka ukuthi kuleyo ndawo la esifike khona umphakathi wakhona uphila kanjani siyathola ukuthi kwezinye indawo impilo kayikho ngenxa eyazi imayini manje na ke thina ke sasingakujabulela kanjani ukuthi mhlawumbe sivele sivume nje ngalolu cha ilungile hambani
ebese kudaleke iningi izifo engeke imayini sisize futhi kulezo zifo ezobe sezisiphethe
lapha siphila khona kulomhlaba wethu emakhasaneni njoba siphila khona nje yaka sikwazi ngaphansi kujuleni komhlaba emathunjini kodwa la siyaphila siphila impilo ngoba siyatshala konke sikuthola khona nemfuyo yethu iyakhululeka engithi ke njengoba siba nje thina silwela umhlaba wethu amathuno babamkhulu akhona nje obekhona nje siyolwela lelizwe siyoze sife silo mhlawumbe bokhululeka ngaleso sikhathi mathi sifile
asikusabi ukufa siyalala sivulile noma eminyango manje mabethi bazoza bezosibulala ngoba kuyokwazeka ukuthi safela ukuthi imayini asifune endaweni esakhe kuyo
asenayo enye indlela yokukhulumisana na yiphi indlela esizophuma ngoba sekukhombisa ukuthi sekuyaliwa
Hey, wala manje. Baba yabo. Yaphatha lapho sukani.
wathi maliqala lolu daba abantu babuza ukuthi wena ntoni uyazini yathi ayazi lutho base bebuza ukuthi akwenzeka kanjani izinto endaweni ukhona ungazi yathi yona ayi nami angazi ukuthi ngeqiwe kanjani kusukela lapho induna yazi imbandakanya yaba kanye nabantu becela inkosi ukuthi ayizobachazela nomasipala inkosi yavele yafike yavuma ukuthi yona esayinile base bethi abantu usayine kanjani ungasangikhulume nathi naye sithi ayingenza iphutha sekuyinduna nje yona nduna endala le kuza zonke induna ekhona usephathe namakhosi amathathu angithi uyazi ukuthi ummeli wethu lo manje
ngimphele yena manje asekho mina ngimphelile
balelile inkampani le mayini ufuna nje imvume yokuthi abone ukuthi ibiza lapha izokumba nje yayuyitholile imvume ekhulumeni
siyabonga ke siyambonga uNkulunkulu onenzile ngathi amandla uNkulunkulu nasendleleni lingaphazanyiswa lutho libe ningikhumbule hawu ke lapho kule ndawo yazi ukuthi ufisa ukufa mase ubona izinto ezazikade ingekho ubona ngabe umuntu wahadlula emhlabeni.
In KwaZulu-Natal, most of the land is held by the Ingonyama Trust, which was set up during the dying days of apartheid. The Zulu King, King Goodwill Zwelithini, is the sole trustee of the Ingonyama Trust. He is also its main beneficiary. Mavuso's inquiries about who authorized the prospecting revealed that the local chief had given access to the land. The surface lease was signed by the Ingonyama Trust. So it appears that the Ingonyama Trust has entered into many of these agreements without consulting communities, and people are noticing.
While the mines play an important role in improving the quality of life of rural communities, this approach should not be just singling out a few individuals, but a community.
I don't believe that.
Oh, now to the vision boost.
phakathi komkhaya nabafowabo benkosi obani asebenzelele njengesizwe ubuhlungu uyazwela asazi ukuthi uyathini siyocela amakhosi esizwe cela umnyango ukuthi sivikeleke phela iyaphela kaphakela iyahamba sinayo ngiyabonga
kodwa ngiyawuthanda umbuzo wakhe ngoba phela akani namuntu ufuna ukuchazelwa nje
inkosi isuke ivuma ukuthi intuthuko ingeze endaweni ngokulandela umthetho abaningi benu akekho noyedwa wabathi Ingonyama Trust sisacela nizosichazela bathini okukwenzekayo konke akunalokho siyazithola sesibheka kuthiwa sihlangene nenkosi sathengiswa umhlaba.
Judge Ngwenya was not speaking the truth. In the meetings we had with the traditional council, we said we need Ingonyama Trust to be in those meetings. They didn't picture.
That's a very bad thing. We have a land right, and they are holding that land on our behalf. That will be bad.
We almost didn't make it here because we had planned to arrive last Monday, and as we were getting ready, Mavuso contacted us and told us that an article has appeared in the newspaper Bayede saying that he is a spy for the Boers, and people were calling him and urging him to be cautious because there's a plan to kill him.
Bese ngifonelwa intatheli uMandla eBayede ikhuluma ukuthi mina ngihlangene namabhunu ngihambe ngene imizi nemizi angifuni umhlaba ubuye umhlaba oklenywa ingonyama ngiyaphikisana naye nasemakhasaneni ngifuna amakhasane kube indawo ezimele engenankosi ya yilo leli phepha ke elibhala ukuthi ngisemkhankasweni wokunyundela ingonyama trust ubuvukela isilo chithi isicelo saso sokubuyisa komhlaba ezinye zezinto nje ngiphatheka babona ukuthi nabo ke ibona abagovuza umphakathi ukuthi uvukele mina hayi ukuthi mina ngigovuza umphakathi enjalo.
The journalist who wrote the story about Mavuso in Bayede is a member of the Zulu royal family. He and his brothers, or Abantwana as they are called, seem to have a financial stake in the development of the mine.
Abantwana are the royal family members, brothers of Inkosi or the chief. They came as people who were supporting the chief. They are the one who won the mine at Makasani. They thought of using violent tactics and they tried to dispose Induna. We said, no, that can't happen.
Ngizoke nami ngibe nezinsukwana ngingekho ngoba nami ngidukisa umkhondo ngoba sebeyalo abantwana phela sebefuna ukusibulala manje ke nami sengidukisa umkhondo kodwa zodwa nengiqhamuka sihlela imhlangano sixoxe sibone ukuthi siya indlela iya kanjani phambili bayakusongela indodakazi bayamsongela nami bayangisongela angazi ke mandondo noma impela iyona indlela lesesicabanga ukuhamba ngayo asisenayo enye nami sengibuye ngiphile ngokucasha ngoba kube ngathi yimi ngilale njengonogwaja.
November ka-2013 sathola umbiko la ngomunye owahlebela kushuthi umuntu owayethengiwe wayeyinkabi kuthiwa akazobulala la afuna umuzwa wamavuso athola umavuso nowakwadubazana bese kuba udladla kube usipho udludla ilunga lekomiti elikhona nala endlini kube abantu besifazana abathathu ngathi ngifike edrobheni ngangifonela umavuso nodubazana bona laba abafuna phezulu
fonelwa ngitshelwa ukuthi kunabantu abangifunayo twazi inkabi ke ama-hitman wakuyinto leyo eyayiserious masayozama ukuyilandela sithola ukuthi ubani obathumele laba
wakhuluma nomunye oyisihlobo selinye lamalungu wayeseshoko ukuthi ke hayi khona abantu engibafunayo emakhasaneni nawo kanti sisi nawo bese ngithi mina labantu othunywe kumuthunywe ekomidini nami ngisebenza kule ikomidi kusho ukuthi uthunywe nakimi uqobo uthunywe nakimi uqobo lami asho ukuthi hayi bethunywe wena kuthiwa siphazamisa ukuhlola imayini kusho ukuthi kufanele ukuthi kufika ukhisimuzi sibe singasekho ukhisimuzi ka-2013
labo bantu ke babe u3 sixoxe ukuthi into ayihambe uyofuna imali yakho ukuthi umsebenzi wenzile noma ungawenzanga.
The Makasaneni community visited the village of Somkele in the Duba region to educate themselves on the effects of mining. Tendele mines have developed an open-cast anthracite mine in this area, and 5 villages have been affected.
bavumisa obaba nomama babizele emasayidini nje bonke bavumisa indlela ukuthi babe ngakwazi ke bebhalelwe isingisi abantu abafundile basazi isingisi basayiniswa kwathiwa basayiniswa ama-title deed bangatshela ukuthi basayiniswa memorandum of agreement
sasithi sothola inkululeko kodwa sesihlupheka kakhulu kunaqale yathembisa obaba yathi izobenzela izinto eziningi bavuma ke nabo masuka kunemali kufanele ukuthi siyithole kufanele sisebenze kwasakhona lapho babehlalise khona indawo kwakunemizi eyinendawo zazinkulu ivulekile kodwa la sebesibuyisile basiletha la kuyilokhuzana
ngiyabona nje ngikhulumile kwezindlu ayikaze iqede ngisho unyaka akaze uphela unyaka nje wona zaseyicrack izindlu emayini sebenzisa amanzi amaningi amanzi womphakathi ngisho license yamanzi nje ayinawo le mali ipipe lihamba la ipipe liyakhona balijoyine ipipe lele enikeza umphakathi amanzi yo
hamba amathuna abantu bakithi without i-counseling sibuka amathambo sibancane sibangaka abazali bethu usawukwazi nokukhomba umuntu wakithi wafihlwa kwangcwatshwa kuphi
chief vele sayithe nemayini ukuqala nje ukukhuluma kwakhe u-against wena njalo hayi leyo nto leyo izoyilungisa imayini kusho mina angikhona izoyilungisa ingayenzi leyo nto leyo okhomba ukuthi abantu nabo badlala ngabantu labantu laba abobukhosi iningi labo ngasho nje ukuthi ngabasana njengosomathuba nje bangabantu ukuthi makufika iproject endaweni bona kuqala kumele bethole yonke into kuleyo project leyo ufuna kudle bona kuqala umphakathi into eza kamuva indaba yomphakathi
khipha amamiliyoni kusukunemini kulomphakathi wakithi kodwa thina siyahlupheka.
Resistance against mining in the region has grown. At the heart of the problem are land rights. Who owns the land? The people who have inherited it over generations, who are protected by the Constitution, or the Ingonyama Trust and the King? In Babanango, a land rich in Zulu cultural heritage, a group of 26 families who were labor tenants over many generations are fighting against the development of a royal palace on their land.
Asitshelwanga asibanga nalo ulwazi thina bantu abanye ngabahlali basemaplazini kwakufihlekile basitshela nje ukuthi sebehamba akungakhona izingxo ukuthi sokukhona amafa asezothenga ngisabona sokukhona bafika ngazathi bayaqasha kwase kuba ukuthi siyathutha inkomo zayithuthwa yimini zakhe lona uyi-owner yaleli plaza.
These farms were previously owned by white farmers. In 1998, the former labor tenants lodged a land claim, but they never got any feedback. After the white landowners removed their cattle, wild animals were brought in. A giant fence went up, and the former labor tenants found themselves living in a game park.
Last time, Magwaza told us that he lost a lot of his cattle, and when the vet did the tests, found out that it was because of some disease found in buffaloes. That's too Sesikhona.
Indawo ngasomkhayeli.
Yeah.
Uhamba right. Obaba bazalwa la nomkhulu bazalwa la nogogo bafike ngo-1900 abamhlophe baphendula le ndawo amaplazi then ke kwase kusetshenzwa amaplazi abasebenzela ukuhlala. Njengamanje umhlaba asibikela ngokuthi uyi-heritage of KwaZulu-Natal babizwa ngamafa. So ke amafa abe nezinhlelo ezikhombisa ukusikhiphela ngaphandle nje umphakathi athenga lamaplazi sikhona beqhamuka neproposal yokuthi basitholele indawo out kwezinye indawo. Ngeke ngize ngivume ukukhishwa. Ngangcono ukuthi bathathe umphefumulo wami. Umhlaba uyikho konke. La le mhlaba u-rich. Ulimi labafundi leyo ikusho ukuthi kahle kahle umhlaba ocebile. Kufikile aneke manje kwasuswa igrad kwasuswa yonke into kwafakwa nezingulube. Kwaphela ukulima sokuneminyaka kungalimi.
Hey, it's good. Well, it's good. It's good.
Show him tax. Show him tax.
The land.
The CEO of Amafa, Barry Marshall, was so arrogant. I asked him, let us say, we give you land. How are we going to benefit?
One, two. Testing. 1, 2. Testing. 1, 2. Testing. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Testing. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay. Okay, klar. Let me get the spot.
Let me go like what place.
Oh, okay, cool. Pero makele out. Okay, I'm just gonna place a mark.
Asanto yazi angithi uThema kasana siyifuna imali. Wasethi siyangiyazi kodwa ke sizobona ukuthi uma sesifika njengoba sizodabula imingcele nizosehlula yini. Hawu bafuna ukuyithatha leyo ndawo ingabe ngaphansi kukadlule ukuze imayini izoza kule ndawo izongena engathi ize kule ndawo.
So imayini mengena uDlulu uzobe ngasenazo. Uzobe
ngasenazo ngoba izobe sekuthiwa ayikho endaweni yakho.
Ikhona lento yomthetho wezigwele nje uqhamuza uzoshintsha imingcele nje.
Yikho lokho phela nathi esizokubuza nesikubuza.
Yeah. Sikhakhana. Okay.
Malu, singena malo msiqale yabo. Uwama ndondo hlala na.
So ngafonela khona ngamfonela kodwa eMaritzburg. Thina njengokhokta umsebenzi wethu ukuthi lolo lwazi lemngcele sibe nalo kwi-system yethu. Mase ukuthi abantwana inkosi ke yibo abazobe besikhombisa ukuthi yini ephi.
Abesithembele kubo nathi njengobaba induku abantu abanjengodludla abazobe bebakhombisa onjengenduna induna iyona eyazi indawo.
Yeah.
Nami cha ngisho khona lokho khona abafuna ukuyenza kodwa ecashile.
Phakathi phela uyaziyo ukuthi uzwamo awazi wenziwa into ungazi umphakathi. Ngoba nale khona yayidalwe inkosi ushaka.
Impela.
Kodwa nami ngembuzo wena kwasemthethweni. Umthetho namhlanje kanti amalungelo lana akhetha abantu ngoba manje thina sethembe ukuthi nathi sinawo amalungelo entweni zethu nesiphila ngazo.
Yeah.
When you're in collaboration with the Land and Accountability Research Center, amongst others.
And Plexus Forums.
So basically, you guys are going to be talking about the constitutional review processes.
No, we're talking about the new bills. So we're talking about Section 25, but we're also talking about the traditional leaders bills that are coming.
Okay. But it's basically issues around land. Yeah. Khalil. And sometimes, my friend of mine was very close. So her name is Hasina Gore. So every time somebody's name starts with, so me, I am like, oh, I think it's no silly.
You might come in. Yeah, sure.
So what? So I go to him now?
Yeah, if you can just take one step and try and extend your arm. Because I still want to get. And then I don't move your ball.
Okay.
I still want to get a bit of Mandela effect.
You must, Chief. You must. Oh, they're here.
On your mark.
Hello?
Okay, that's just it.
Sure. Are we going now? Let me check. At around until 7:15. Let's give it 7:15. Yes. Then after the thingy, after the yeah, it's actually 48 minutes. Then after they're going to have a dialogue. Okay. Okay. All right. Sure. I'm trying to, so they're going for an ad break now. Then after they come in directly to us.
After the ad?
Yeah. Khalil Giga.
Goga.
How are you, Francis? Can you hear me? Yeah. Oh. Yes, but look, I have a guest here with me. Khalil. Okay, yeah. Then he will just talk to that. Is it okay? All right. It's Khalil. I've sent it to, tell Megan to check her WhatsApp. Khalil, K. Yeah. Goga. Yeah. Khalil Goga. Tell Megan to check her WhatsApp. I've sent the guy's name to you. Well, good evening to you in studio. I'm talking to you right here from the Nelson Mandela Foundation, where a dialogue is expected to happen. I mean, the foundation, together in collaboration rather with the Land and the Land and Research Center, are having a discussion with regards to laws surrounding this land issues, the much talked about land issues. But just to give us insight with regards to what's going to be happening today with activities and the discussion which is set to happen after the documentary which is underway now, is Khalil from the foundation. Khalil, just talk to us with regards to the activities that are going to happen today before the dialogue.
So this is part of a longer term process. The Mandela Foundation has been involved in working on the land issue over the last 4 years. Today was a culmination of some of the work that we've been doing, particularly in rural communities, where this documentary was aired in 38 communities. It was followed by community dialogues, and what we want this to do is for people to begin talking, rural people in particular, to begin talking about how land expropriation, how traditional leadership, and how mining interests affect them on a daily basis. So preceding the screening of this documentary, we just had 30 activists, land activists from across the country meeting in our boardroom to discuss some of these threats that are impending and looking for ways forward on how we can make our democracy stronger. We'll screen the documentary now. It's called This Land. After the documentary, we have a panel discussion with 4 panelists who are activists. That's Reverend Mavuso, who's the key protagonist in this documentary, Emily Chale from Lamosa, one of the screeners from Sunshine Cinemas, Plexus Films, who spread this documentary series out, and Constance Mukhale from the Alliance for Rural Democracy.
Just talk to us a little bit about the interesting documentary which is playing. I mean, we just saw it earlier today, speaking about challenges, especially at rural areas. Just take us through what the documentary is about.
So the documentary is called This Land. It's a 48-minute documentary. It's primarily concerned about the nexus between traditional leaders, political interests, and big businesses around mining in many rural communities. Here it takes place in KwaZulu-Natal, where deals are done with traditional leaderships not always in the interest of people, without proper democratic processes where people engage, and where the state itself doesn't get involved in protecting the rights of our rural people who are meant to be protected under legislation.
Who can we expect here with regards to the dialogue? I mean, and also what is it going to touch on specifically?
So the dialogue at the moment, we've opened it out to the public, so we're going to have a mix of people. The activists who are part of the workshop earlier today will all be part of this, so you'll see a lot of activists who are going to be engaging with the content. We also have a couple of students, people who are involved in business, and just a general grouping of South Africans who are interested in this critical issue. In our understanding, all South Africans should be talking about the land.
Well, there you go, Francis, coming to you right here from the Nelson Mandela Foundation, where currently a documentary is playing inside before the foundation will have its anticipated discussion on the land issue. With that, it's back to you in studio.
Good. Cool.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I think we'll.
Siyabonga makhosi akwaDuda nawo wonke umphakathi odalwa zawo zikhona phakathi kwalendlu ngithi namhlanje asibe munye kuyompepho
qina mhlalo semakhaya qina ngiyathanda ukubingelela kakhulu bonke abantu abasihambele athi ngovalo phansi nakho engifuna ukusho lamadoda okuthiwa alethe umnotho nokuthiwa azosithuthukisa afike ephethe obhakha ebagaxela emahlombe mawuwabuza ukuthi ayapi athi azokwakha imayini athi yonke into entsha niphathele yona ilapha kubhakha kodwa lo bhakha wehle emhlani khuluma ngalamadoda eyimayini afika ngamabhanoyi efaka ikhindi ethwele obhakha kodwa ubhakha akavumi ukuthi wehle azahambe enkosini mayefika enkosini uqaqa nje iphakethe elilodwa likazipho akhiphe imvilophi akhiphe imali ayifake emvilophini ayinikeze inkosi ebesethi tshela laba bantu ukuthi ngibaphathela izinto ezinhle lapha kubhakha na inkosi ayazi ukuthi kulo bhakha khonani kodwa ivuma ukuthi
engizofike ngisho emuva emphakathini walaphana ebabananga ukuthi intando yeningi lokuthiwa idemocracy ifezekile namuhla ngokunqoba komphakathi wasemakhasaneni okukhombayo ukuthi abantu uma befighter belwa behlangene bezimisele ngokunqoba bayanqoba.
Nobody can fight for us except us. We are not vulnerables. We are the activists.
This is a victory for the people of Makasanini, but the struggle for recognition of land rights continues until Parliament enacts a law to give them security of tenure on communal land. People living in former homelands remain vulnerable. Until the rights to the land they occupy are recognized, they will remain under threat.
Inkomo zizodaphi imbuzi nizoyifuya kuphi imayini niyibiza ngentuthuko imayini is a mass eviction project, it's not development. It's a tsunami development. Intuthuko ethi mayifika kufuneka ukuthi ubaleke ngejubane usuke mayifika lapho sifike siyibuza ukuthi ngiyomba kuphi siyikomiti bathi siyomba NP5
mase yafika umnumzane semfakele kokuthiwa ipack noma isikhonkwane athi nangu MP5 sifika sithi hayi insimbi kasikhakhane kanti le ngakho-ke kusukela namhlanje uma uphume e-office othi uye ensimini kabani asikhona kwinotebook sisemakhasaneni amandla kumanga amagama abacindezela abasibiza ngayo nongxiwankulu abasibiza ngayo nabasiqamba ngawo amandla kodwa yini eyenze ukuthi imayini inqobeke lapha emakhasaneni ukuthi asikhohlwanga ukuthi lezi ndawo ngezethu
I'll just stand in. Okay. No problem. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nokwanda Sihlali. I'm from the Land and Accountability Research Center. We're about to start with our panel session. We definitely cannot have them behind the screen. So we're just waiting for somebody, or they can just come to the front. Okay. Ausconi, please join us. Ma'am Emily, Noni, Rev, please come to the front. I'll just stand here. Okay. Yeah. So I can. Okay, no problem. Okay. So we watched a very powerful and wonderful film that was commissioned by Lark, as Miki said in the beginning, and she was the director of it. It's a very emotive film, and it's very emotional, and it brings up a lot of issues connected to land and land rights. And we're going to have a panel session with very incredible people who've been working in the land sector for the longest time, but also the briefest time. But they've also had very impactful stories that they've gathered from the ground. So the first person who's going to speak is Ma'am Constance Mukhale from ARD. She'll be speaking to us about the laws that are currently before Parliament and possibly their impact on rural citizens, and also what can we do moving forward. And then we're also going to speak to Ma'am Emily Chala from La Mosa. She's been dealing with a lot of restitution issues from her communities, and also with her wider network of people, community activists on the ground. And then we're going to have our main protagonist from the film, Reverend Mavuso, who will be speaking about his experience also living under Ingonyama Trust, and also he is a land activist. So his sort of reflections of being a land activist in KZN. And then our last speaker is going to be Unozugo Poni, better known as Noni Poni, from, she's a Sunbox ambassador. She was part of the partners from Sunshine Cinema. And we're going to take it from there, but the first speaker will be Umam Constance. Ausconi, you can take it away. Oh, yes.
Just put it on
No, Ausconi, yeah.
Thank you, Nokwanda and Nelson Mandela Foundation for being our voice. It is very difficult for me to be the first speaker after this emotional film. The first time I saw it was in the Rosebank Cinema, and our former president, Dr. Kgalema Motlanthe, came and looked at it, and as he was weeping before he could express, we were wondering, why is he weeping? Now, after looking at this now, I feel very emotional, so excuse me. So, what you see in this film is rural people in communal land in Makasaneni and Babanango living in abstract poverty. And what we see in this film is the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs colluding with traditional leaders, changing boundaries as they like. But when we voted in 1994, we were really voting for an alternative vision for South Africa, a vision where people would be free to elect who their governance system should be. And Section 211 of the Constitution mentioned the need to describe a role for traditional leadership institution in the new democratic dispensation. So you wonder if this thing is intentional or not, but I argue that it is intentional because this government had a choice to go in, to give us the democratic vision we all voted for, or to get stuck in the colonial systems of apartheid, where traditional leaders are used as puppets of government to extend the administration system of perpetuation of capitalism and reducing rural people into subjects. So in this country, we've got two communities, ones who are referred to as subjects and accounting under traditional leaders, and the others who are citizens and are voting for their citizenship rights. So what we see is 17 million, or approximately, because there are more now, rural dwellers whose citizenship rights are reduced and stripped out. And how are they stripped out? I am sent to talk about the laws that this government, our democratic government, is introducing. So the first of them, I think, is portrayed clearly in this film, is the Mining and Petroleum Development Act of 2002, which is stripping rural people of their citizenship rights and separating mineral rights from surface rights. Only, it comes now only when people are waiting for their land rights to be restored. Now, when we lost land, there was no separation of rights. Now, in this new democratic dispensation, we are being told that you don't have water rights, mineral rights. But at the center of it, we are being also stripped out of our right to say yes or no to any kind of development. The right to be consulted and to give consent, our free, prior and informed consent. And I think now the House, I think we need to debate what is meaningful consultation. And then we have this Informal Protection of Land Rights Act that we refer to it as IPILRA of 1996, which says clearly the position about the unrecorded rights, the informal rights, and which states clearly who the community should be. Because we can be in the hall like this, but we are not all affected in the same way. So consultation should be about those people who are standing to lose the long inherited customary land rights to the land, not just anybody in the community, because I mean, and it goes back to the definitions of community. So the second law is this traditional, the Traditional Governance and Framework Act, which came as a result of formalizing the institutions of traditional leaders. And it was supposed to have transformed the existing traditional councils into democratic, or democratize them by making sure that people are represented in those councils, and in particular women are represented in those councils. And well, we were not happy about the percentages, but at least it was like the first step towards democratizing those institutions. So this piece of legislation was amended in 2009 because it was not implemented, to give them more time. But and then in fact in the amendment, the minister or the premier was given now the rights to monitor and to make sure that these things are happening. It never happened, and today we have now another amendment in our doors, and this amendment can be passed anytime soon. And let me tell you why. Because if these traditional councils, which are making deals about these big businesses, have not complied with the transitional requirements as according to Section 28 of this TLFGA, it means all the deals that they have been signing are not legal, because they have not complied with the law. Therefore, this parliament, our lovely ANC parliament, is going to pass this law to make sure that all these ridiculous deals can be now legal, can have a legal standing. So the other law, which we defeated in court, is the Communal Land Rights Act. But now there's a bill that has been introduced, and then there's also the Traditional Courts Bill. The Traditional Courts Bill, and what is important is the Traditional and Khoisan Leadership Bill, which we are told it seeks to recognize the rights of the Khoisan leaders who have been left out as a nation in the new democracy. We all agree, and it's not a debatable, that the Khoisan people are the citizens of this country, and they need to be recognized. But if you look at the contents of all these bills I'm mentioning about, at the center of it is land rights, is stripping off the land rights of the rural citizens. Because Section 24 of the Traditional and Khoisan Leadership Bill gives the rights and powers to traditional leaders to enter into deals with third parties without any consultation or consent from the people who are their subjects or who are residing or residents of that land. If you look at the Communal Land Rights Bill, the way they are proposing it, they're giving land rights or title deeds to your residential stands. But we know that in rural areas, we don't have industries. Our industry is livestock. Our industry is farming. Now, if they don't give you land rights of your they don't recognize your user rights or your land rights, the grazing and the farming fields, and they are giving it to the powers of the traditional leaders, it means you have no say and you cannot be consulted when your grazing land is taken away from you. So, what is going to happen? What we want to see is urbanization and moving of people from the rural land to the urban land, and we will see land grabs happening all over in the margins of the city, because people have lost their livelihoods, because it's not only about the brown soil and whatever, it's about the livelihoods. So this is this film goes at the center of those arguments. So I don't know who is in this room, but I mean, a message to all those politically affiliated people is that how do you give us a voice? And I really applaud people who have supported us, like the Land and Accountability Research Center and the Betha Foundation who funded this film. We need more films like this, because if a bill is introduced in English, most probably that bill will never be less than 90 pages. And who is analyzing and making it simplified for a rural layman like me to understand it? Because the labeling of the bill can say traditional leadership and Khoisan bill. And when you go into the bill, the contents, then you realize that it is not about recognition of traditional leaders or Khoisan community. It's about your land rights. It's about giving powers to this one man whose authenticity is questioned, because we know that there was this commission, Tlapo Commission, who was supposed to investigate the existing traditional leaders, because in our view, the traditional institutions which survived apartheid were imposed, and the true leaders of the people. In fact, in the beginning of the filming, the old man is saying a traditional leader or a chief should be seen as a protector, as a person who provides, a person. In fact, most of the chiefs were soldiers, because when there was fights or wars, they will comprise soldiers, a team of soldiers who will defend people. Right now, we don't have protectors, because these guys, they only comply or abide by the laws of government. They account to the master who pays their salaries. They don't stay in the villages, and all they do is go with this, implement these ridiculous laws. So now the question becomes, where do we go from here? And I appeal to people who are silent about these issues. There was a public protector report of the Bapong, who 600 million rands of the poor community disappeared into the D accounts, which is managed by the premier at the Northwest Province. There is this crisis about Kolobeni, Makasanini, and we don't see politicians speaking out. Nobody speaks out against that. Who is our voice? And we are saying, even to the business people who might be in this room, how do you, how do you sleep at night knowing that you are exhuming graves? You know, the very symbolic thing to me as an African child, the very thing that I have as my heritage. So if you look at the MPRDA, we had discussions earlier, it's about stripping people out of their land rights. It is not about a heritage, it is not about anything. If you look at the laws that this parliament is rushing right now, because they know their term of office is coming to an end, and they might want to make sure that they legalize these illegal traditional institutions. They are rushing these laws ridiculously. You go to public hearings, you find a crowd of people who don't know what is the agenda of the meeting. You go to public hearings, you find traditional leaders being treated as the sovereign leaders. And my question now to the politicians, if they are here, is that why do we have a voting system where when we elect the president and the councillor only? Why can't we have a voluntary affiliation to the traditional institution? Because tradition and culture doesn't know any boundary. I can be a Motswana, I can live in Cape Town, but I know who I am. I know who I subscribe to. So traditional and customary law doesn't have a boundary. You giving traditional leaders a boundary and rights over land, whilst you give Khoisan leaders a rights over people. So people must voluntarily affiliate, which I think it should be, because I voluntarily affiliate to any political party, and I can voluntarily opt out. They will never charge me, because I can voluntarily defy them, even if I'm a member. But with rural citizenship, you don't have any option. So at the heart of this, it's the laws that these guys trying to legalize this criminal acts they have been doing, because they know it's not legal. What they have been doing is not legal. So they are trying to legalize this criminal, and the very same people who should be our protectors, the very same people we give him power to, are the very same people who are now attacking us. they are attacking us in the small percentage of land we have. Now, what else can we do? So this is a question for me to say, what is the role of us, as whether you are a businessman or a politician or an activist? What is the role? How do we make sure that we envision the new South Africa and we not divert the attention of the failed land reform and Section 25 into changing the constitution and making people debate about things that are not relevant? Let us make sure that we envision the kind of South Africa we want together. But also what is important is interrogate our role, how we have advanced this new democracy or how we have paralyzed it. I thank you.
No, I'm fine with the mic. Thank you, Auskoni. And today, earlier, we had a round table, and at the round table, we were discussing some of the laws that are coming before Parliament. And some interesting points were also made by Dr. Ninka Claessens. And if she doesn't mind, Doctor, I'd like you to just give us just a mini overview. Do you feel she okay? Yeah, no. So we definitely understand in the urgency and in the need to go in depth with the laws. I know Uguti Auskoni was going through each and every law like a property law student, but don't worry, it's all in the pamphlet that we provided for you guys. All the laws that are before Parliament and all the laws that have to do with re-entrenching apartheid boundaries, with giving powers to autocratic traditional leaders, as Auskoni has said. All of this information is in the pamphlet. And just to also emphasize what she says is that there is a need for us to go beyond what we're doing here and showing this film to rural activists, but we also need to take it straight to the politicians. We need to take it to the parliamentarians. We need to take it to the thought leaders and the businessmen and the businesswomen who are involved in these mining companies, but they probably don't even have as much information as Auskoni has given us here. So I think we're going to go straight to Noni Poni, and then we'll go to Umam Emily Jali. Noni.
Hi everyone.
Yebu.
My name is Nozuko Poni. I go by Noni as well. I work for Sunshine Cinema, which is a mobile pop-up cinema powered by solar or by the sun. I was chosen 4 months ago to be part of the tour of this land. And we've gone through, my colleague and I, Samkelo, have gone throughout the country just taking this film to the people. And really we just walk in there into these venues armed with the booklet that you're all going to get after this, and as well as the Sunbox, which is the box that has the mobile cinema, and the movie, which has been life-changing for me first, and then the people that we've spoken to have been different people, but mostly just low-income areas, rural areas, and spaces where the cinema experience has not been, not something that's popular. And showing this film has both been traumatic. Traumatic because the people that see this film and comment on it after the screenings have just been sharing painful stories of how being displaced is, how being formally displaced is still being displaced today, and how the rest of the country is continuing without noticing what they go through. Some of the things that I hear, they traumatize me, because you walk in and thinking your country, and because you read the paper, but hearing someone say, like for example, last week in Kwakwa, we showed the film to young people, and it was the first time that I showed it to just teenagers. And one young man said to me just last Saturday, I couldn't go visit my grandfather's grave because there were white people there working, and they told us they now own that area. Hearing stuff like that it challenges you to just live differently. And also just hearing women in the community say that we get outcasted at these meetings where land discussions happen because we're women and we're not supposed to say, have a say in what happens in our communities, which is unfortunate because we know these areas are mostly areas where the men leave to work in the mines in other cities, and the women are left to, you know, take care of the children and to look after the homes. But it's still, that's still how, what the reality looks like, you know. So we've also gotten some very, very good feedback from the different people that we've shown the screenings to. I mean, I've been at screenings where after showing the film, people stay behind, and then they discuss how they're going to approach their own traditional leaders who are, you know, abusing their power, and you know, just having them at their mercy, you know. I mean, I went to Kolekile's area. The first screening that I did was in Mabong, and that area, I think the oldest person that was there was in their 80s, and they said that they still have not owned a title deed ever, you know. And stuff like that is heartbreaking, because not only did our grandfathers go through these things, we're still going through these things. There are young people in Mabong who don't have, you know, a sense of identity because they don't have any land, their parents don't have any land. You literally have to, you live with a bag packed, you know. That's the kind of life that these people live. And we are all continuing, we're all busy with our city lives, you know, doing our own thing, and maybe doing a little activism here and there on Twitter, you know, which counts. But, you know, we need to all do more than just speak and, you know, have quality power. We need to join these people. The ones who have money to back these kinds of films and these kinds of conversations need to put their monies where their mouths are, you know. Others don't have, you know, the money, but if you, let's say you're here and you're from, I don't know, Bofolo in the Eastern Cape, and you know that your people are going through something similar, we're here to take the film to the people, you know. So I challenge all of you to just do something, speak to us after the conversation if you'd like us to take the film where it's needed. We really are just people who don't have much but want to help out and, yeah, take the film and change the face of our country. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Noma, we'll take it to you. But can I just quickly say something? And also, we had, even though Unoni is up here, she's representing Samgelo also. Can you please stand up? Can we also give a round of applause? They are our on-the-ground team. I don't want to reiterate what Mickey said, but we have been highly impressed with the work that you've been doing on the ground and showing the film and going around to communities. Even when there were troubles and issues and screenings, you guys were resilient, and we're super proud and we're happy of what you guys did. We're not giving you a promotion, but we're just saying, yeah, no, definitely. So, Mommy, we'll take it to you now. Ne?
Thank you. As they say, my name is Emily Chale from Lamosa, Land Access Movement of South Africa. Thanks to Nelson Mandela Foundation for bringing us together here, and Plexus Films for showing us this land. Really, it's sad. When I come to the issue of land, it's sad. You can see my age, I'm a gogo now. I've traveled since I was a baby, seeing my parents being moved away from their ancestral land, the land that they loved so much, Leidenberg in Boomplatz. You used to export golden clean peaches to Germany and other countries. But today, I'm where I'm not supposed to be. My parents were where they are not supposed to be. But thanks to the democratic era that came, and our Tata said, you can. The first objective is you can lodge a claim and get back your land. Let's get back our lands. From 1994 until to date, dispossessed families have not yet smelled those pieces of their ancestral land. Lamosa has been there from the inception of the land reform program, and our core business was to assist communities that were dispossessed as a federation to lodge their claims, to get back their ancestral land. We succeeded here and there with the help of other institutions. Like today, we are here with the help of other institutions. The alliance that has been there, legal partners, academics, vets, you can name all the universities in South Africa. Who owns the land, by the way? Who owns South African soil, by the way? I hear some people murmuring. South Africans. Who are South Africans? The citizens of South Africa. But when we are looking at the citizenry part of it, we are looking at the urban areas, not about the rural areas. The urban became urban because of rural. Today we are talking of urbanizing or developing our rural. It's not development, it's just mollifying all through the South African rural areas. There is a leg of restitution under the land reform program that as an individual here, I'm the beneficiary of Blue Plus. We fought. We struggled to get back that land. 2001, we got back our land from the then Minister Titiza and the then Commissioner Mkoti Wallace. But till to date, no much development has been there. We were scattered, but not yet settled. We had to fight, had to come up following the procedures, the laws, the systems of land reform, of restitution program. With the patience that we had. Older people, the knowledge that they had is fading away, they are dying. Hungry for their ancestral land. We know in South Africa we are all hungry for land, for just a piece of land, to own it. Never mind the titles, we got 2 titles, we don't care about them. We call ourselves the owners of those land, because our forefathers bought those land for the next generations. But now, today, when we try to repossess what was dispossessed from us, it's an offense. It's an offense. Let me jump. I don't know how much time I've got. I'm going on.
Mommy, you only have 2 minutes now.
Yes. As Lamosa, together with other sister organizations and partners, we wrote letters. Let me quote the people who wrote the letter first, and then until we took the matter to court, to the Constitutional Court. It was Lamosa, ARD, and Makua, which is mining affected communities. There are 2 laws that Sis Connie spoke about. Those are brothers and sisters, the MPRDA, and also the Restitution Amendment Bill. The president signed. We begged the president not to sign. The president signed, JZ, 2014, without reading the act, the content. Because we are reading, we are trying to move with the trends. You know, when you work with the communities down there, you have to be well informed and make well-informed decisions. I want to graduate my grade 24 because I'm a student also, being a gogo. Then he signed, then we said, no, partners, what is this? Community said, hey, we had an AGM quickly. Hey, you, Connie, whoever, hey, got the mandate from our constituencies. We consulted, we were together with other sister organizations, litigation to the court. He obscured our letters. The speaker also obscured our letters. Then we won the judgment 2016, 28 July at the Concord. Why? The main reason was no proper consultation. You passed the law, you didn't involve the communities. You didn't go down and talk with the communities. You didn't even educate. They don't understand what is contained there. They don't understand what you are saying. In the meantime, there are old outstanding claims, but you are busy opening a new window. We said, okay, never mind, because others were left out. Cut-off date 1998. Now, how are you going to work the parallelism? Moving the old claims on this side, the outstanding ones, and moving the new claims this side. You don't have mechanisms. You don't have capacity. Public participation. People never participated in this. We're talking about citizenry. The power of X that we gave our politicians, our government. By the way, we are the most powerful government. Now, when it goes further about land, it's power relations. Give me just 1 second.
Okay.
Power relations. So what is happening now is coming back through the back door. They say it's the private members' bill. Hey, restitution now under you come here, they say TKLP. You come this side, it's restitution. What is happening? Hey, can't we have one public hearing maybe about the restitution? We attend those public hearings. We educate our people, we workshop them so that they make informed decisions. They said, I know, this is not it. Now the restitution is 3. One is the judiciary, one is the general, one is the other one they call Muguni. Eh? So what should we do? We say rejection. But when it goes back to to Parliament, our politicians change. The legislature, the PC, they change the inputs of the people. What should we do? Action. So on this film, you know, it touches me. That's why I say when I speak of land, I start from childhood, and even now we are being moved from one place to another. This film really it's needed to be shown in the whole of South Africa. And what I loved about it is unity that they have, resistance, powerful, mindful strategies that they had. The Induna is so old, but he says, I'm not alone in this battle. This is a big dinosaur. How do you eat a dinosaur? Small chunks. And at the end of the day, we will defeat it. Thanks.
Rev Mavuso think it's sexism now. He also needs his time. Rev, you can.
Good evening, everyone.
Evo.
Amandla.
Awet ngika.
Saying in Khan. We're saying in Khan. Makasane, we're saying in Khan. Amandla.
Awet ngika.
This, I want to confirm that my name is Mpekiseni Mavuso. I'm from Makasane. Makasane means you have to crawl before you start walking. I'm still crawling with the people. I'm from the University of the People, Makasane, University of Crawling. So I'm living there. A lot has been said in this. I don't call this a film or a movie. I call it a reality, because I'm not a film star. I'm not acting. It's just a reality. It is happening in your area. It is happening in my area and in your area. This is your story. This is not my story. So what I can say is that it is a struggle. The struggle is not easy. Sometimes you get death threats. Sometimes there are some attempts in your life. I know that because it is happening with me all the time. With the chiefs, with politicians, are after me because they say we are against development. When they talk of development, they mean development of the spaces, not developing people. They talk about tsunami development. When this development comes, you have to run away. They are talking of evictions. I was born and bred at a place called Wabiela, under Inkosi Biela. We were chased away by the chief because my father did not stand up when the chief enters the court. He said, this man is of my age, why am I standing up? Then we have to recycle at Makasaneni. We got that land of Makasaneni through my mother. You saw my mother feeding chickens there. He's 70 years old now, Maska Khan. Now the mine is coming to take my land. My father passed away in July 2012. His grave is there. The mine want to take that land. Yes, they want to exhume my father. But as we are gathering here, I have a lot of questions. One of them is that when we are talking about land, what is land? Because water belongs to Department of Water. Minerals belongs to DMR. Animals belongs to wildlife, as you saw at Babanang. What are we owning? If we are talking about land expropriation without compensation, what are we talking about? What is land? Because I know at Makasaneni we claimed land and the department said we'll get 5 properties, and they gave back 5 properties. We claimed about 40 farms. We were given 5. And now the Ngonyama Trust Board said it is their land. We are not allowed to own land or to claim land. The land belongs to the king and the Ngonyama Trust. Now the case is in court at Richards Bay. We are taken there by Ngonyama Trust Board. And there are some professors who are supporting Ngonyama Trust, saying that the land used to belong to the king. We don't own land. I know that as we have been given back 5 properties, we have to pay 25,000 to get water license. We have farms, but we don't have water. Water belongs to the department. So this story of Makasaneni will give us a time to talk about land. What is land? What do we mean when we say we are claiming back our land? The land, we mean land without water, without mountains, without minerals, without trees, without animals. So I'm saying that the struggle of land belongs to all of us, women and young people. As you saw in Nduna is 98 this year, in Nduna. In the struggle, we are sharing information. Because in my organization, we don't say we are educating or teaching people. We are just sharing information, because Nduna has a lot of information. If you are a leader, we must also be led. I'm also led by Nduna. I'm also leading Nduna. We are leading as a collective. I'm also led by women. As you saw women speaking there, they are my leaders. I'm not a leader alone. If you are a leader, you must also be led. We must also share information with young people. In this struggle, we must encourage young people to participate in this struggle. Even old people must also participate. That's why I liked your comment as when you were talking that you are having classes with young people. I'm also having classes once a month. On the 7th of November, I'll be meeting young people. Every month I meet them. I share information with young people because I want to groom young people. And in this struggle, some of the things that we can, as you see me talking today, we don't talk everything about the struggle. Sometimes we get poisoned. In food that we are eating, poisoned by certain people. Sometimes they hire people. Sometimes they say they bribe us. They want to bribe us and say you must take money to allow this thing to happen. What they call development. So, if we say these things are development, why all the time development has to come from somewhere? Why development has to come from somewhere? This mine was from India. Are all the people in India developed? Right. So that's why I say we must all take part in this struggle, in this land struggle. We must also question things, name the places in our own terms, as Paulo Freire used to say. We must make the path by walking. So, and another problem that we are having is that our struggles sometimes are led by NGOs. That's what I call NGOization of the struggle. The struggle must be led by the communities. We must also propagate radicalism in our struggles. All people must be radicalized. Amandla. But at Makasanen we say, Makasanen is our land. Amakasane izwele solilwela nange sakizwele. Amakasane izwele solilwela nange mikho. Amandla. So that is, this land belongs to us. This is our land. This land is our land. Amandla.
Can we give them a round of applause? Okay. So Rev decided to hit us with the ballad, which now went into our Q&A time, but I'm just going to take 3 questions, then we'll just have a brief answers or feedback from our panelists, and then we're going to go have a light dinner, right? Okay, so any questions? Open. Okay, Baba, I saw your hand first, then we'll take it there, and then, okay, I'll just make an exception 4, as long as we make it quick. Oh, no, but 4. Okay, okay. Yeah. So it would be at the back, the lady with the purple top there, and then the lady with the black top, and then Baba with the stripes. Okay. Okay. We can start there at the back.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hi, my name is Mutlatla. I work at Finnovators, which is just a sort of financial agency. I was listening to the stories very intently, and after watching, I mean, very impressive, and I admire the work that you've done. And I heard themes of active citizenship, active citizenry, which I really admire. But my concern particularly is on the legislation. So we've seen how cooperative governance, as well as other government departments, are already not obeying the law as is. So, I mean, fortunately in Makasaneni, we had sort of really active citizens that really came up and fought against an institution or a system that wasn't working against them. But there are thousands all over the country that are not having that kind of privilege and don't have those kind of strong personalities to be able to push that through. So excuse my phraseology, but are we not fighting against thunder and trying to get all these legislations in place when on the ground we've got chiefs, we've got local municipalities, we've got provincial government that by themselves are also not obeying those same laws that we're trying to put in place?
I think we can take all 5, because they're going to be brief, and then do you want to answer each question? Okay, then we'll take 5. We'll take a round. Perfect. The lady with the purple top there. Yebo.
I don't want to ask you a question, I just want to make a statement and give you a question that was asked of me many years back. I am elder from Hofa, a place near Central, and he said to me, they took our land, it's so easy, why is it so difficult to get it back?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mel. Next, I'll take it with you. Lady with the black top here. No mic.
Excellent movie, thank you. The creative was excellent, and the music, I must say, was powerful. The panel really enlightened me. I had no idea about the issue. I own a company called SP Investment Holdings. I deal a lot with the Bill Gates Foundation, and I'm very happy to take this back to the foundation, so at least I do an education there. When I was dealing with the sugar board, I'm a strategist, and when I was consulting with them, we never understood that, we understood that they were chiefs at a very ignorant level. We didn't understand this level of complexity. And I don't think that's being understood at that level. What was missing for me in the documentary, if I may say, was just a balanced view, not necessarily balanced, but just from Kochta, for example, from legal opinion, from the mines. My question was just, are all mines behaving this way? Why are they, question 1, do all mines behave that way, or have there been some successes, in your opinion? Question 2 was, why are they forced to interact with the chiefs? Sorry if my questions are ignorant, apologize in advance. Why are they forced to interact with the chiefs, or the kings, or whatever how would they know that there are different factions? Why is SABC not picking up this documentary to flight? I understand the laughter. I had another question, but it escapes me, so well done. I just thought, brilliant documentary. Thank you.
No problem. Take it with you. With this track, the one next to you.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the panel. My name is Ben Anderson. I was curious that you represent the voice of 17 million people, and I was also curious by your rightful reflections on the role of politics. And I was curious to know, why do you need politicians?
I think we'll clap after they've answered. But over to you guys. Anybody who wants to start first? Tony.
Okay. Well, some of these things were just comments, and I totally agree with them. By the way, Gil is mentioning Mohopa. That is an area where I come from. Yeah, so, but it was just a comment. So, any good examples? Maybe it's a challenge to all of us who are in this room to really go out there and write to us any good examples, because we have not seen any. we are craving for any good references or good practice that we can, you know. There was an attempt by LAC to come up with an alternative land or the NPs, non-profit companies that will make sure that the benefits derived from the existing mines can filtrate to the household level. And because all the non-profit companies that are formed by the mines and the chiefs are captured, and the benefits are not getting any further. You go to any mining affected community or a neighboring or hosting community, you see abstract poverty. All the costs of the mine are directly carried by the community because they don't pay water rights. There was a comment about water licensing. The road infrastructure is dilapidated because of these big traps and the big metals that are falling into the road and destroying the road. And who's supposed to repair the roads when they are damaged by the mines? Nobody knows. So we are craving for good examples. All we see is capture. All we see is traditional leaders and some few elites in the villages going around with big cars and so forth. So why chiefs? The thing is, if you're gonna consult every land rights holder, for them is delaying. It's not good for business. So if you empower one person who can sign on behalf of everybody, and if you can take out, you know, that is what the ANC is doing through these legislations I was talking about, taking out the right to be consulted and give consent is time consuming because we will never agree on something that is taking our livelihoods away. So for them to make it shortcut, empower the traditional leader, and you know, because the traditional leadership and cohesion bill it's saying recognition and withdrawal. So it's not about recognizing or respecting traditional leaders or customary law. It's about empowering a traditional leader who can further and implement their, you know, capitalist ego. So the SABC is not gonna pick up these stories because they are captured themselves. The shareholders and people who are in the board are the same ruling party. And that is why, as the Alliance for Rural Democracy, we're trying to get alternative media that is why the reason for this land, media like this land, which will tell people stories.
Okay, and Mami, because I've just realized we've run out of time, so we're just going to do a wrap up now. So Mami, any final comments, basically now? Yeah.
Thanks for the questions, but I would like to say two things. Why is it so difficult to get back the land? Our parents' minds were colonized. We inherited the colonization from our parents. So the system that the government, especially the Department of Rural Development and Land Reform, before it was Department of Land Affairs, is still using the old system, even the old laws. Why can't we create our own laws? Why can't we write our own Bible of land? So they are also doing the black spots. Where there is minerals, there is a delay to give back the land to the people. Look at ours. We fought for it. Now we are not there. But because we know we have information, we ask you to come with the company to prospect privately. We know there is palladium and all those, as we say, no, N-O, no to mining. It's our land. Unless you help us to move back, then we can talk another business. Why I say politicians? Hey, this is the name we give them. This is how we grew up. Because they talk politics, always talking. And politics, it's a dirty game that we all should play. There are politics at home, politics at work, politics in the church also. So that's the living that we are in. So when we say politics, that's the marginalization that we grew up with. We are called civil society organizations, civil society. And look at Netleg, it's dividing government, labor, business. Then when it comes to us, they say constituencies. Who is representing constituencies there? Because they are also politicians, because they talk the same language. Why can't we also have a civil society party inside the parliament? Sorry, ma'am.
No problem, ma'am. Thank you. Stoked. Okay, no, we've definitely run out of time. So thank you to everyone who took time out to come and watch the film with us. And we hope that, as you've heard from our panelists, they've been giving us very inspiring, very informative inputs. And we hope, along with our book, any sort of screenings that you may want, even if it's for educating any parliamentarians that you know, any political parties. I'm not caucusing for 2019, but I'm just saying that if we want to make sure that this film does its work in terms of going to the ground, but also going to the thought leaders and going to our government, please engage with us. We're more than willing. We're very open. And we'd like to thank again Nelson Mandela Foundation for believing in us in that moment. You know, asked you for a lot of money at the last minute. Thank you so much for assisting us. And to Mickey, to the Land and Accountability Research Center, to everybody who was involved, Sunshine Cinema. I think everybody's hungry. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much. Mommy, mommy, when I was told, yes, go shiver was told. Yeah? Why was told this up? Yeah? Trap it, trap. Trap it, trap.